Guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Zahir, and today we'll look at how large enterprises can use agentic systems to run scans, essentially content audits on thousands of web pages or web assets that they own. This is just an illustration of how the architecture would look like. But before I walk you through the architecture and the code, I want to show you the final output of the scan itself. So I've used three scans here. One is the readability and brand agent, or scan. Basically, an agent does the scan. There is a compliance agent, and there is an SEO agent. These are the three agents that I've written. And I've used three different URLs here. Basically, Books to Scrape. Books to Scrape is a website that allows you to scrape content from, utilize that when you want to learn scraping. So we'll use the landing page of Books to Scrape. It's an e-commerce website, a mock e-commerce website. We'll use a product page that is a product description page of one of the products that they have. It's a book website. And we'll use Cisco's Learn page. Essentially, it's a blog, and see how that goes. You are already seeing what the scores are, but we'll see how did we arrive at the scores. Okay. Let me quickly show you what the readability agent's output looks like. So for this particular URL, it's saying the content is overly technical, and it's also got that, essentially the content is demo in nature, and it might confuse the users. Absolutely right, because I've not specifically told that this is a demo website, but it has understood that this is a demo website, and it can confuse the users. It has also recommended what are the next actions. I'll also show you some of the other things that we've captured, which is basically SEO revenue attribution agents scan report. Yeah, as you can see, it has, it's rightly called out that the meta description is too long. It has 1023 characters for this particular page. The open graph title and description tags are missing. The content is too short, 250 words, obviously. So we've also given it some revenue attribution of what could be the loss. This is just made up at this point in time, but this could mean different for different companies operating in different domains, right? So this is the overall analysis. I'm also going to show you some of the other reports that we have captured as part of this particular exercise. So there is a business impact also, like what is the total revenue impact if you what is the total revenue impact of the scan for those for those three particular URLs, and that is the scan of the SEO related scans, the compliance related scans, and the readability scan. Okay, like I said, this is just for illustration and representation only, but you could, with the right signals, the dashboard is going to be so much more useful. The data is going to be so much more useful. And it has also given you prioritized actions of what you need to do, which is the first URL that you need to tackle, and what is the impact there. And because there are 16 issues, and there is a business, because it also gets monthly traffic of 25,000, and there is a revenue attribution of $50,000 here. So it is saying that the impact is 1350, and it has got a prioritization score of 40. So it is expecting you to basically prioritize this to be fixed first. All right. With this, let's actually look at the code on how we got here. In fact, before that, I want to show you the architecture. And if you're designing a system like this, how would you essentially build this so that it scales well and can handle several thousand pages? All right. Now, content audits in large enterprises is done in multiple phases. One is there is the pre-live scan. Even before the content is published, maybe in the staging layer, you essentially have people auditing those pages manually, or you have scrollers and scrapers or some audit systems that do that for you. This is pre-live, but if you want to do this at scale, and if you want to have this system where you're doing this in regular cadence, maybe a weekly scan, you need to have multiple ways you can ingest the data for scans, right? One is you could have prioritized list or a custom list of URLs with context of what I mean by context is signals like revenue, conversion rate, and the traffic for those pages, and you want to prioritize scanning. Very few links, you could do that. You could actually add this as part of your CI/CD deployment itself. Let's say that you're launching a page and you want to have a detailed scan of the pages, that is the SEO scan, uh, the readability scan, and the compliance scans. You could make this as part of your CI/CD job itself. Uh, and this is again for this will probably come in handy, during your landing pages, especially for maybe accessibility scans, right? You could definitely use this, or you could basically plug your CMSs, the AEMs, the Sitecores, Drupals, WordPress, anything into the agentic system, and the agentic system essentially will pull data from those CMSs directly and run the scans on top of that. But in an ideal world, I would always recommend to see or scan what your customer is seeing, which is basically a live URL, so that you're catching and you're simulating scans on top of it, like how would a customer browse to that particular page and catch the issues and essentially fix them. All right, now, like I said, we use some context here, which is revenue, traffic, and conversion rate. There could be different signals that you could use for your scans. What we are proposing here, or at least what I'm proposing here, is that we'll use an agent orchestrator which has context of the three signals that I just spoke about, and it then prioritizes which are the URLs it need to scan first, and it will also send that as context to the different audit engines that we have, which is basically the compliance agent, the readability brand agent, the SEO revenue agent, the accessibility agent, the post-live monitoring agent, right? So you have the orchestrator, which has multiple signals, including the URLs, and it orchestrates, basically sends it to the relevant audit engines for scan, depending on the score or the prioritization that it has built. Okay. Now, these agents are regular agents. They might or might not have the React capability, or the agentic loop, because it's getting an input. It needs it needs to do exactly what it is supposed to, which is basically run some scans and then generate output. So it need not have. What it could probably have is some context building on, like I said, revenue, and it can probably tweak the prompt in real time and then essentially generate relevant scans. But just to make this more deterministic, let's assume that these are simple agentic workflows which get an input URL along with certain context. They run the scan and they generate the output. And the tooling that they need, for example, let's say that if it is an SEO agent or the accessibility agent, the tooling could be, you could use third-party tools as the tool to get those scans done, where the agent essentially calls that to augment the results. Because SEO has several, you have the on-page SEO scans analysis, you have the technical SEO analysis. It has several things. And if you want to offload certain parts of the analysis to a third-party tool, you could do that, or you could essentially write your own native tools to essentially get the scan done. Once the content in audit engines essentially generate the reports, we store that in an enterprise grade data lake, for example, an S3 or Snowflake or any data lake infrastructure that you have. We also build knowledge graphs and expose that to to executive dashboards through Power AI, Power BI, and Tableau. But what it also has is essentially a prioritization reporting engine, something that we just saw in the dashboard. Let me go back there. If you see this, we had actually built this, right? So you have the prioritization dashboard here. And the reason this is important is because we want to see what is the impact of the scan and the issue that a particular URL has. And then we do two things with it. We prioritize the fix for that, and we also create Jira tickets. You can actually create automated systems that will essentially, depending on the scores, will create a Jira ticket or send out notifications to the relevant team. You could do anything in terms of how you want to communicate the prioritization of the issues at hand and how you want to solve this. Like, what do you want to prioritize? What do you want to be prioritized for quick resolution, essentially? All right. It seems simple, but when you're trying to implement this, it's a complex system. There's lot of orchestration that needs to be done, but it's doable. Some companies already have that, but what we are trying to introduce here is if we bring in agents for audit engines, how would they work? So let's go to the code part now, and this is where I've used LangGraph to essentially build that for us. So for complex systems like this, I've been using LangGraph for almost a year now, and I really like the intuition that you actually build and the visualization that you can do using LangGraph. It makes so much sense, and it also helps you build deterministic systems. Right? You don't want the agent to run in perennial loops to find the right tool or to find the right task and to execute it. You want deterministic systems. When you're working with such large volumes, you want to ensure that you have reliable systems, and LangGraph essentially helps you build one. Again, depending on how you've essentially designed the system. So let's look at what we have here. So I have obviously nodes, and if you paid attention to the architecture, the sequence is very similar. I have the ingestion node. I'm adding a few nodes first, and then I'll talk about the edges. The ingestion node, and ingestion node basically takes in URL, CSV, could be anything. And I have the orchestrator node. The orchestrator node takes in the information, has some information around what are the different URLs it has, and it then prioritizes the scans of those URLs and uses the signals, that is revenue attribution and others, to essentially orchestrate that. We have the audit agents node. For this particular demo, as you can see, I have written 3 different agents: compliance agent, readability, and SEO. We'll use these agents to essentially run the scans on. We'll then calculate the business impact of each of the scan, and then we'll use the workflow integrator node to essentially generate Jira tickets and maybe push data to certain dashboards. Everything is simulated, but that's the idea. And then we have the reporting node here, which basically generates essentially create reporting data for dashboards like Tableau and BI. Okay, this is how the edges look like. Ingestion nodes. The edges between the ingestion or the orchestrator. The data flows from ingestion to orchestrator, orchestrator to audit agents to business impact, and business impact node to workflow integration to reporting, and that's the end of the particular scan. Okay. This is how the audit state looks like. The audit state has so many stages and methods, but essentially every output from every node is something that we are capturing, and then we will essentially return that as the response. I think I have everything ready. If you want to quickly see the nodes, I can show you the nodes as well. This is the audit agent. Okay, let me first start with the ingestion node. First, the ingestion node has clear information on what type of data that we want to ingest. And if you see, these are the 3. We're trying to simulate a CSV creation here. And these are the 3 URLs we'll be scraping. This is basically books to scrape, a website that allows you to scrape content from. I'm saying that the monthly traffic to this is 25,000 visitors or visits. Conversion rate is 0.08, and revenue attribution is $50,000. Made up numbers. But the idea is that we are taking additional context and not just a URL to scan. Same for this particular page. This is I think the home page of the ToScrape Books e-commerce website. And we're also using a learn page from cisco.com to essentially simulate the same thing. We are ingesting this using the ingestion service, and we are obviously, we'll run the scan here. We basically create the content asset object, and we pass it to the orchestrator node. Let's look at the orchestrator node. The orchestrator node essentially, let me scroll up. The orchestrator node, as we discussed earlier, helps us prioritize using the context that it has, which is basically traffic, conversion, and revenue. and it gives weights to it. So as you can see, depending on the weight that was calculated, critical, high, medium is selected, and it essentially uh, essentially sorts the content asset that we created in the ingestion node, and hands it off to the next node essentially. Let me show you the audit agent node now, probably the most important one. This will essentially run the three different agents that we have to run the scans, the most important part of this particular exercise. As you can see, there are three agents here: the readability brand agent, SEO revenue agent, and the compliance agent. I'm using GPT-4o Mini as the LLM here. What this essentially does is uh, you could you could you can imagine that this the input to this is not just one URL. In this case, it's three, but it could be several URLs. And we're also making each and every agent also makes an LLM call, so it has several IO calls. So you need to build an efficient system, fast system to manage this. I've used, for the sake of the demo, I've used threads here, but you could use AIO or any other async way of making input-output calls, IO calls essentially. And this is the orchestration. It basically uses the content asset, a data content asset object that we created in the ingestion node, and passes that data to these agents. The agents essentially uh, we essentially script each and every URL and pass the script content to that. The agents run the scan, they return a response. That's it. And from there, we use the workflow integration node. I can probably show you that as well quickly. The workflow integration node essentially creates Jira tickets, creates notifications. That's all it does. And the reporting nodes generate the reports. We have already seen the report. So now let me actually walk you through the three different agents. Let me just spend some time on readability and SEO, because I think those are something that are easy to understand. Compliance is basically GDPR and CCA scan. So you could probably do a lookup of what the scans does. But this is the readability agent. The readability agent gets the content data. Content data is essentially scrape data, and it essentially runs these different scans. The readability, it analyzes readability. It evaluates the readability score. It checks the content structure. It checks the brand voice, the writing quality, and it calculates the readability score. So let me show you the analyze readability method. Yeah, so I'm using TextStats. I'm sorry. Yeah, so I'm using TextStats, readability. Um, I'm using TextStats readability scores and APIs to essentially run the readability scans. We're using flash reading case, flash skin cat grade, etc. And this is how we analyze readability. For brand voice, I'm using an LLM. Let me show you how we are doing the brand voice, and I'll show you the prompt as well. Yeah, this is how we are using or analyzing brand. Evaluate tone consistency, voice clarity and personality, brand messaging and alignment, audience appropriateness, call to action effectiveness. And I'm passing the title in the context. We're using 2,000 characters only. We could use the entire context on the content that you've generated. Depending on your context, you could actually pass far more signals here. You can pass the personas and the target audience that you want to analyze the brand voice for. But in this case, I've just kept it simple. Now let's look at the SEO agent. In the SEO agent, these are the different scans we run. We check the technical SEO, on-page SEO, the content SEO, and revenue attribution. Let me show you how we are using an LLM for content SEO. The rest are simple, heuristic methods that we can write. I'm going to show you the content SEO part. Yeah, so we're saying that this is the prompt. Evaluate primary keyword identification, keyword density, semantic keyword coverage, keyword stuffing detection, related items, and synonyms usage. You could do this using regular Python methods as well, but we are using an LLM mostly for semantic keyword coverage. I think this is important. All right, so the scan has started. In fact, the agents have started working, and the scans are also being worked upon. The first URL is books to scrape. Um, this is obviously multi-threaded solution, so you're seeing the order not in a sync fashion. Assets audited were 3. The total audit results were 9 because we have 3 different agents. The first URL, which is basically the blog URL from Cisco, that was prioritized, and the overall score for it is 12.7 out of 100. The impact is $1,000. And business cases conversion improvement potential 6.7%. Critical issues tracking detected without visible cookie consent. This is from the compliance scan. There is a conversion potential of 7% for this one. The overall score is 30, and the risk score is 0. The risk score here is very high, and the risk score here is high as well. The overall score it has is 35, and the website states the prices and ratings are randomly assigned and have no real meaning, which could mislead consumers. Obviously, this is a demo site, but it has correctly identified that those sentences could actually mislead the consumer. All right, so let's look at the performance of the agent. Readability and brand agent, the average score is at 58%. SEO is at the average score is 1 because 2 of them are demo websites and the third one didn't have proper score. And compliance and regularity score is 18.3. Obviously, we're running very stringent scans. You could basically assign the relevant weightage. And obviously, it has given us the final score, the content audit executive summary, business impact, total revenue at risk. Our opportunity is $3,750. There are 3 compliance issues. And it's saying the demo was completed successfully. We'll also see that it has sent out Jira tickets. Here you go. There are 2 tickets it has created, and obviously we are simulating that we are sending this to. Obviously, we're simulating that we are sending this to a company. So you can see that it is saying it is also assigned story points, and it has created a detailed ticket, but we've not actually created a ticket. We are just simulating that. All right, guys. Let me go back to the architecture. This is how I would probably create an agent-based audit system that can essentially help us scan thousands of URLs, and this could be revenue connected or revenue attributed orchestration or revenue attributed scan itself. All right. I hope this was useful, and if you like this, kindly share this with your network, and let me know if you want to learn more of such agents. Thank you so much.